That's okay though. For being so young, you're very, very smart. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So keep up the good work, man, and stay flat, okay?
Okay, I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther. I'm a flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther. I'm a flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther. I'm a flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther. I was like, what is this about? What?
That's okay though. For being so young, you're very, very smart. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So keep up the good work, man, and stay flat, okay?
Okay, I'm a flat earther.
Up for sound bites. This is awesome.
All right. Welcome back to Anti-Religious Scripture Study with me, Karen B, and Just Jack Flat Earth.
This is a test. This is a test for possible hats that we may be selling out at Plateauerfest. Karen B is helping me out, getting them printed up. This is just a test. It'll probably be stacked words, but Karen thinks that, they may not sell, but, I'm thinking people want some swag, some cheap swag. They're cotton, they're thin, but I can represent what's up.
Good work, Kat.
Yeah. So I don't know if you want to do a review first, or if you want me to read my disclaimer first, or how you want to do this.
Let's go ahead and do your disclaimer first.
All right. Be nice if I had it up instead of behind the Skype. Just Jack's disclaimer. To the religious, if you believe it's wrong to study scripture outside of your religion or denomination, if you believe your religious leaders or church fathers are incapable of having inherited anti-scriptural traditions of men, if you've already made up your mind about scripture, including the scripture shouldn't be studied at all, then the stream is not for you. To others, if you are open-minded to others' opinions, if you haven't made up your mind about scripture, if you've been turned off to religion but believe there's truth in scripture that may have been changed or hidden by religion, if you live according to scripture and like to dig in and discover more, then this stream is for you. We are looking at scripture in the original language using concordances or dictionaries for root words, as well as context from a non-religion perspective. We will as well have life experience discussion. We are not here to argue with others about theology or doctrine by the traditions of men, including Catholicism, Christianity, or Judaism. We will be discussing the importance of origins and show how religions contradict the scriptures. There you go.
Right
hey,
on.
Brian Parker. Hey, Jason Starr. Hey, Call 40. Hey, Bruce Liable. Hey, Mojo Shop. And I guess I'll mention Brian Staveley.
All right. Awesome. Okay, so let me open. Where's my e-sword? Okay, so we could do a little recap of the last chapter we did. There's kind of a lot going on in Exodus here.
There was. Yes. There is. I mean, this is the burning bush that wasn't consumed.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the revelation of Jehovah to Moshe. Now, this is not the revelation of his name as if it's never been spoken before, but we'll refer to that later on in the next couple chapters. But he says, okay, who do I say has sent me? And this is like a big deal because people will see the description that he said about himself. He's like, I exist because I am the existence, right? But people don't, people think that was his actual name, where it's just a description of his persona, who he is. And then people don't continue to read to the next verse that says that he continued, right? Like, you should continue to the next verse that says he continued. Elohim said further to Moshe, thus you are to say to the children of Israel, Yehovah, Elohim of your fathers, Elohim of Abraham, Elohim of Yitzchak, Elohim of Yaakov have sent me to you. This is my name forever. This is my remembrance to all generations. Now, if you read this in the King James Version, they blotted out his name and replaced it with the title, the Lord, to hide this, because there's power in the name. So they shall listen to your voice, and I'm going to give favor in the eyes of the Mitzrites. In other words, the Mitzrites are going to be like, please go and take my stuff. And we're going to see that later, what that's talking about. But this is all prophetic about the things that are about to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's the wrap-up of that chapter. This chapter is going to be quite involved. It may cause some spiraling, as we're familiar with, because it's, it's things that, unless you're all in, you'll never understand. So, hello, Jason Starr. All right. I don't know if I said hi already, but just making sure. Okay, so when we get into this, try to remember that the man who Moshe was staying with, his new father-in-law, was a priest of Midian. And it was a priest of Elohim, but it was confusing to me in church growing up that they said that he was a priest of different Elohim rather than the creator Elohim. So now I know from the context that he absolutely was of the creator. And when he goes to this mountain of El, which is Horeb, and later this is going to be the same area of what people later call Mount Sinai in Arabia. And when this happens, Moshe's, he's already living with his father-in-law for a period of time. Even though he may not be familiar with all of the ways to serve the creator, because he was influenced by Egypt, who has many deities, he was also, and this is from the chapter previous, we found out that he was actually nursed by his mother. The Egyptian princess found him in the river and said, I need a Hebrew to nurse this child, and it ended up being his mother. So he also has a context who he is and who he's from.
Oh, right, and then wasn't one of his sisters watching what happened to him when...
That's correct.
That's right.
Yeah, she was following him up the river and saw the princess and said, hey, I know somebody that could nurse this Hebrew baby for you. And it was his mother. So.
Yeah. It's pretty slick.
Yep.
All right.
Indeed. Coincidence? I think not.
No, definitely not. All right, chapter 4. And Moshe answered and said, and if they do not believe me, nor listen to my voice, and say, Yehovah has not appeared to you? And Yehovah said to him, what is that in your hand? And he said, a rod.
All right, so let's go back to verse 1 temporarily.
Okay.
Verse 1. Why is it a question mark there? In the original Hebrew scriptures, there is no punctuation marks. Okay. So you have to use a little bit of, excuse the terminology, but intuition. You have to kind of figure it out. Because if you, let's say it was a statement, and Moshe answered and said, if they do not believe me, nor listen to my voice, and say, Jehovah has not appeared to you. Right? That doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
It does make a sense that, hey, they're going to question me, right?
Right.
They're going to say, Jehovah, Jehovah hasn't appeared to you. Has Jehovah appeared to you?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wouldn't have worded it as Jehovah has, but has Jehovah appeared to you?
Right.
And Jehovah said, what's in your hand? And it's a rod of branching. Okay, Go ahead.
And he said, throw it on the ground. So he threw it on the ground, and it became a serpent. And Moshe fled from it.
Okay, and this is serpent as in Nachash, and the whisperer, right? That's also the root of divination. And, I was just saying, you got to use your intuition. That's the same root word. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think that's important in context. There is another word for serpent that means fiery, because the bite of it, the poison, burns. These two are not to be confused. Not everywhere where you see this word fiery means serpent, and not everywhere where you see nachash means serpent. You have to get it from the context.
Right. And Yehovah said to Moshe, reach out your hand and seize it by the tail. So he reached out his hand and took hold of it, and it became a rod in his hand.
And it's not necessarily tail. In the case of a snake, yeah, it would be a tail, but it's the rear end.
Okay.
Regardless.
So that they believe that Yehovah, Elohim of their fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Yitzhak, and the Elohim of Yaakov, has appeared to you.
Very good.
And Yehovah said to him again, now put your hand in your bosom. And he put his hand in his bosom, and when he took it out, and see, his hand was leprous like snow.
All right, so a lot to take apart here, a lot to unpack. In English today, bosom only means boobs.
Right.
Right? Whenever I hear bosom, that's what I think of. Oh, she's got a big bosom, right?
Right.
But bosom is the wall of encircling. So if you like, let's say you pick something up and you were trying to protect it, you would put it in your lap and wrap your arms around it, right? So this is the wall of encircling. Okay, so it translates sometimes as bosom, sometimes as lap, sometimes as protection, etc., etc. So it's not necessarily boobs, okay? And the other thing is leprosy or leprous. So leprous is a modern term, a modern disease, etc., etc. But we don't actually have a, for sure what kind of disease this was. But we do know that it's an infection. But this word is also to describe mold, mildew, anything like that.
Okay.
Okay. But it was like snow, right? So if you think about like putting your hand into your encircling area, and then you pull out your hand and it's all white and flaky, looking like mold. Yeah, that would freak you out a little bit.
Yeah. Almost maybe even sounds like it might be pussy.
Yeah. It might be pussy. How do you spell pussy? Never mind. Keep going.
And he said, "Put your hand in your bosom again." So he put his hand in his bosom again and drew it out of his bosom, and see, it was restored like his other flesh.
Right, and this is not flesh is more like the contents of the substance of the thing. So it looked like his original substance.
Right. "And it shall be, if they do not believe you, nor listen to the voice of the first sign, they shall believe the voice of the latter sign."
Right, and this is another thing that's, for me, this is important. This voice, this sound. So it's not just, it is just voice and sound, but it's like, he could have used words here, he could have used, but it's like, if it doesn't resonate. Right. So this voice or sound is used for shouting, singing, trumpets, all sorts of things like that. So it's got a resonance to it. So that, I think it's a little bit more important than just voice, because voice is, in English it's just simplistic. We know that voices have resonation, but this points out the resonation more.
Right. "And it shall be, if they do not believe even these two signs, or listen to your voice, that you shall take water from the river and pour it on the dry land, and the water which you take from the river shall become blood on the dry land."
And again, this is the Egyptian word for river. This is not, excuse me, this is not the Hebrew Nahar, but it's the Egyptian Air. So,
okay.
So it's the Egyptian river.
Okay. "And Moshe said to Yehovah, O Yehovah, I am not a man of words, neither before nor since you have spoken to your servant, for I am slow of speech and slow of tongue."
Okay. How can I say this? There is no O. Okay. And this happens a lot of places within the scriptures. And of course, in King James Version, it's "Oh Lord," right? But this is all throughout the Psalms. It's just to make it like, "Oh Yehovah," right? So, yeah, it's not there.
Okay.
And then the other thing, it's actually like, I myself am speaking, instead of "oh," it's like, in me, I am speaking, to Yehovah. All right. The other thing is slow of speech. I heard my whole life growing up, but it actually says, "I have a heavy mouth and a heavy tongue." So I always wondered, what does slow of speech mean? Like, there was a show that I used to watch, Malcolm in the Middle, and he has this friend who was slow of speech. And everything he says, he has to catch his breath, right? And I thought that's what it meant. But then when I read it and it like literally translated out, it literally says, "I'm heavy of mouth and heavy of tongue." So maybe he was a mumbler.
Like he didn't speak so well.
Yeah, he wasn't eloquent. He couldn't enunciate loudly, clearly. He wasn't a speaker.
Right.
you know.
And Yehovah said to him, Who has made man's mouth? Or who makes dumb or deaf or seeing or blind? Or blind? Is it not I, Yehovah?
All right, so this is not just man, this is Adam, right? So mankind-ish, right? The mouth of mankind-ish. The dumb is the binding of the head, and then the opening. Let's see, what does it say for opening?
Open.
It says makes.
Ears.
Okay, so they changed the word to makes, but he's the opening of the blind or the negative. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So opening or makes seeing is actually the opening of the eyes.
Okay.
All right.
And now go, and I shall be with your mouth and teach you what to say.
Oh.
But he said, O Yehovah, please send by the hand of him whom you would send.
All right, so O Yehovah's not there. It's just Yehovah.
Please send by the hand of him whom you would send. I don't really understand this sentence. Please send by the hand of him whom you would send. Hand of him? Hand of who?
Yeah. You gotta have the two verses together.
Uh-huh.
And now I'll go and be your mouth and teach you what to say. And he said, please send by the hand of him whom you would send. In other words, when you're going to teach what to say, don't use me. Send somebody else.
Oh, okay.
And so he does respond to him, but he's not happy with his complaining. And I like to upset people's religious faith in Moshe, a.k.a. Moses, where I said, Moses is a whiner baby. And I can show you plenty of verses where he's told to do something and he just whines about it. Like, I don't want to do that because blah, 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 blah. Right? So Moses was a big whiner baby. He's not to be worshipped. Not only that, but 4:13. By the way, I can't see your screen. That's why I'm taking so long to respond, because I'm looking at my stuff.
You should have reminded me. I'm sorry.
Sorry. I'm sorry too, because I'm like, is this how we've always been doing it?
No.
I usually can get to it a lot faster. Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. Verse 13. Okay. Now, when they usually see Yod He Vav He in Hebrew, they would translate it as Adonai, aka the Lord. Okay?
Okay.
Look over there in 4:13 and look for Yod He Vav He. It's not there.
No, it's not.
This literally should have said, but he said, Lord, please send, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So he's calling them by title, not by name. So this is actually a reverse mistake where it actually should have been Lord. What does it say in the King James Version?
Let's see.
See if it's all caps.
And he said, "Oh my Lord."
See how it's not all caps?
Yeah. That's
because it's the term Adonai. See how the next verse has all caps?
Yes.
And that's because it's Yod He Vav He.
Oh, okay.
That's how they do it in KJV. So they actually made a mistake in the Scriptures version when they translated it.
Okay.
How dare you? You're not, how dare you speak against the translation? Ah.
Yeah. And the displeasure of Yehovah burned against Moshe, and he said, "Is not Aharon, the Levite, your brother? I know that he speaks well, and see, he is also coming out to meet you, and when he sees you, he shall be glad in his heart."
Okay, so Aharon in English, in the King James Version, is Aaron, but it's just two A's, Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
And when I tried to find the translation of this name, there is lists of possibilities of what his name could be translated to. I encourage people to check it out for themselves. Go online and look up the definition of this name. It's crazy, dude, because they show you like an Egyptian root, a Hebrew root, a Semitic root, and they're even like in the Hebrew possibilities, it's like 10 different possible translations of it. It's very interesting. And that's what I was saying, about translating anything. You have to get the context because it could be translated a few different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, let's say, for instance, that first word is he was angry, but it could be he was ashy or he was white, right? But, it's obviously, in the context, he's angry.
Right.
Like, why are you looking for me to send somebody else? I just told you to go do it. I just told you I'm going to teach you what to say. I'm going to put the words in your mouth, and you're still complaining. Right?
Right.
All right.
And you shall speak to him, and put the words in his mouth, and I am your mouth, and with his mouth, and I shall teach you what to do.
All right. So he's like, it's kind of wordy, right?
Yeah.
But it's basically saying, okay, you need somebody to speak for you, so you put the words in his mouth after I put the words in your mouth. I'm still going to put the words in your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have to have like a middleman, like this is how it's going to go. And the funny thing is that later when he appears before Pharaoh and everything, his brother's not mentioned as the speaker. It says, and Moshe said. So it was kind of like Aaron was his interpreter almost, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe Moses was like whispering in Aaron's ear, like, hey, tell him da 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 da. Like it's a weird scene if you think about it,
It is.
because he's not speaking directly to Pharaoh.
Right.
All right.
And he shall speak for you to the people, and it shall be that he shall be a mouth for you, and you shall be an Elohim for him.
Uh-oh.
And take this rod in your hand.
No, hold on.
What?
Don't go too fast.
Okay.
Who shall be an Elohim?
Moshe. Sounds like he's saying.
Oh. I thought that was like blasphemy to call yourself deity. Yeah? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
This is Elohim.
But Elohim is saying it, not Moshe, though. Right?
Yeah, but he's saying you will be an Elohim.
Uh-huh.
You will exist to him to be Elohim. In other words, you're going to be Elohim to Aharon. All right?
Okay.
So you're deity. You're the man in charge. And Aaron has to say what I tell you to say. Now, this goes against people saying you can't say that you're Elohim because it's blasphemy, blah, 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 is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, people who have this hard, it's hard for them to grasp the idea that they could have a sense of what's the word? Help me out here.
That they have a divine spark?
Thank you. That they have divinity,
Mm-hmm.
right? So this is something that's all the way back in Exodus. Now it gets reiterated in Psalms, but all the way back in Exodus, he's saying to Moshe, you're going to be Elohim. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a hard subject for a lot of people. That's why I said, like, some of these things are going to cause people to spiral. But I'm just saying, Yehovah called Moshe Elohim.
There you go. And take this rod in your hand, with which you shall do the signs. Then Moshe went and returned to Yeter? How do you say that? Yeter,
Yeah.
his father-in-law, and said to him, please let me go and return to my brothers who are in Mitzrayim to see whether they are still alive. And
Okay. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead. You can finish that verse, yeah.
And Yitro said to Moshe, go in peace.
Okay. So Yitro is the same as Yeter. So for some reason it was abbreviated, and then it's only a title also.
Okay.
So he's straight and abundant of him. And then go in peace, which is lek la-shalom, is mentioned a few times throughout the Old Testament. It's like a common greeting, right?
And Yehovah said to Moshe in Midian, "Go, return to Mitzrayim, for all the men are dead who sought your life."
Now, why were men seeking his life? Do you remember?
Yeah, because the Pharaoh said to kill all the firstborn boys, right?
Well, that was the first time that his life was threatened. The second time was when he saw a Hebrew.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
And
go
then
ahead.
and then he killed an Egyptian, right? He killed a
Right.
Mitzrayite.
Right. And that it's okay to kill a Hebrew, but it's not okay to kill an Egyptian in their law, right?
Right. So Moshe took his wife and his sons and set them on a donkey, and he returned to the land of Mitzrayim, and Moshe took the rod of Elohim in his hand. And Yehovah said to Moshe, "As you go back to Mitzrayim, see that you do all those wonders before Pharaoh which I have put in your hand, but I am going to strengthen his heart so that he does not let the people go."
Okay, so what?
That's weird.
Know about the stick and the serpent thing, but he also did the.
Mobile data is turned off. You'll have to turn on Wi-Fi and connect to
Okay,
it
my
first.
phone's being stupid. Sorry.
It's okay.
He did the stick turning into a whisperer and the hand turning white, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, "You're gonna go do these things, and it's not going to impress the Pharaoh because I'm going to strengthen his heart. I'm going to make him cold-hearted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I don't care." And by the way, the wonders are that which entice. By the way, so this same word is the word for initiation of conception, right?
Okay.
So if you were trying to be with your partner, you would wonder them,
Right. Okay.
seduce them, okay?
And you shall say to Pharaoh, "Thus said Yehovah, Yisrael is my son, my firstborn." So,
Okay, so do you want to go through this? Okay, so for the firstborn, okay, so he's speaking of Yisrael. Now, is this the guy Jacob? No, this is those who join themselves to the Creator Yisrael.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a specific people, which is going to get elaborated further when they leave Egypt and everything, because it says it doesn't matter if you're native born or you join yourself. It doesn't matter. You're Yisrael. So this is your firstborn son, meaning that this is who I've adopted to continue my work, right? Like, if you think about like old-timey ways, the father would usually take on the job. I mean, sorry. The son would usually take on the job of the father.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you were a plumber, your son's going to be a plumber, his son's going to be, and so on, right? So here it's like, it's saying that, you know, he adopted those who joined themselves to him as a son, the firstborn. And then the other thing is the firstborn is also that which gets the inheritance. Now, is this in conflict with the testimony of Yeshua, aka Jesus, being my one and only begotten son? No, because that is the only birth of spirit child. In other words, he was already well empowered at birth. Okay, so that this is not the firstborn. In Greek, it translated in English as begotten, so birthed.
All right.
I know this probably doesn't even matter to you, but there's people on the other side
Yeah.
who would argue, "Oh no, there's no one that can be the son except for Yeshua." No. Anyone who connects himself to the Creator is considered a child of Elohim,
Right.
a child of Yah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I say to you, let my son go to serve me. But if you refuse to let him go, see, I am killing your son, your firstborn.
Okay. So when people hear killing your son and firstborn, a lot of times people will get a picture in their head of a baby. But typically, the firstborn son is the older son, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the firstborn.
Mm-hmm.
He's the oldest son, adult. He's the one that's going to take over for you when you die.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly the context of this. If you don't let my sons take over my inheritance, then I won't let your son take over your inheritance.
And it came to be on the way, in the lodging place, that Jehovah met him and sought to kill him.
Okay, so who is Jehovah speaking to? He's not in Egypt yet, so the only him he could be speaking of is Moshe.
Right.
So Jehovah is going to kill Moshe. What?
And Zipporah took a sharp stone and cut off the foreskin of her son and threw it at his feet and said, you are indeed a bridegroom of blood to me.
So this is why he was going to be killed. Because even though there's no Torah being written down yet, right? Moshe is supposed to be the writer of the Torah.
Mm-hmm.
But was circumcision a law given to Moshe? Is this the first time we're ever hearing about circumcision in this book?
No.
In the Torah. Okay. So the circumcision of Moshe is actually a bad thing, right?
Is it?
Yes.
Why? I'm so
because
confused.
He didn't circumcise his children.
Because
he refused to do what was necessary as he's supposed to be a representative of Yah, who says that if you belong to me, you circumcise your children, right?
Uh-huh.
So he refused to do it. So his wife did it, and she's like, you sorry so-and-so, you're now a bridegroom of blood to me, right? So you're the one who made me do your job because you didn't do it like you were supposed to. Now, why this is important, and again, this probably won't matter to you, but there's a group of people. So in the book of Acts, which is a New Testament book, they're arguing about the circumcision of Moses. The circumcision of Moses is a ritualistic circumcision into Judaism, right? And they have their different crazy rituals that they do with the circumcision, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay, so this, they call it specifically in Acts the circumcision of Moses. But the circumcision wasn't given to Moses. Moses didn't even circumcise his own children. The circumcision was to Abraham, and then it was hijacked by Judaism to be this whole ritualistic thing. You have to become a Jew by going through this ritual, and that is against Torah. And right here, it shows you clearly that Moshe's circumcision has nothing to do with righteousness. But yet they call it, in Judaism, the circumcision of Moses. It may not matter to you, but it definitely does to those who are in Judaism and Christianity and other such religions.
Zipporah, that's his mother, yeah?
His wife.
Wife?
Yes.
Well, okay, so why does it say she took the foreskin of her son and threw it at his feet? So that's her doing that to a son that her and...
His son.
I'm
Not
so
to him.
confused.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So Moshe, did not circumcise his children.
Okay.
So she had to. Now, why was she doing it if she doesn't know anything about the circumcision? Again, it's all about context, because Midian is a son of Abraham. And out of Abraham came Midian, and out of Midian came the priest of Midian, who is Yitro, who is Zipporah's father. So she has a context about the circumcision, and Moshe also has a context of circumcision because he was raised by his Hebrew mother, who probably circumcised him, most likely, okay? Probably before he even got put in the basket, he was circumcised. And then here he's been living with a priest who obviously would have told him that he needs to circumcise his son, and he didn't do it. So he was being wicked. He was being evil, dysfunctional in the in the obedience to the circumcision. So she says, "You're making me the bridegroom of blood, like you're the in-law of blood because of this circumcision."
Okay.
But the reason that I'm pointing this out again is because there's a huge disconnect of scriptural circumcision and Judaism circumcision. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay. So he let him go. Then she said, "You are a bridegroom of blood because of the circumcision."
Yeah, she made it a point to repeat it because it's that important. It doesn't matter too much, but it says he let him go. It actually says that he idled from him. You know, he paused on killing him. It doesn't say he let him go. It says he paused.
Okay. And Yehovah said to Aharon, "Go to meet Moshe in the wilderness." And he went and met him on the mountain of Elohim and kissed him.
And this is possibly kiss, but it's a touch. And it could be, you know, it could be a kiss. It could be a hug. It's
like
possible
a
that it's
greeting.
a kiss. Wasn't anything creepy, though.
Right. Moshe then told Aharon that all the words of Yehovah who had sent him and all the signs which he had commanded him.
All right, this command, actually, there's a couple things in this verse. Okay, so word is davar, okay? And this is important because davar meaning word does not mean command. Sava means command. So in this verse, we have word and command, that they're two separate things. Now, the reason that this is important is because there's no such thing as 10 commandments, but there is such thing as 10 words. So,
Okay.
that'll come later.
Yeah. And Moshe went with Aharon and gathered together all the elders of the children of Israel.
And this is elder right here. You got to have the beard.
Okay.
Because the word for elder is beard. So you cannot be an elder without a beard.
And Aharon spoke all the words which Yehovah had spoken to Moshe, and he did the signs before the eyes of the people.
Yep, he did the markers. Okay, so what were the signs again?
Throwing the rod on the ground so it became a snake,
Right.
and then picking it back up again,
Okay.
I'm assuming.
Yes.
And then the other one was putting his hand in his bosom and then pulling it out and have it being all nasty.
Yep. And then putting it back
Putting
and
it
it
back.
being all better.
Right.
Yep.
And the people believed, and they heard that Yehovah had visited the children of Israel, that he had looked on their affliction, and they bowed their heads and did obeisance.
Okay. So, and they truthified it, right? They truth the people, and they hear and obey him because they overseen or counted Yehovah action to the sons of Israel, and because seeing the action to the intently looking of them, right? That's that affliction is that, intently looking, like meditation even, right? And they scalp and they bow. Okay, there you go. So this word obeisance, that's kind of odd to us. It just means they bow down.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Hello, Joshua Benjamin. Hello, Frank Logic. Hello, Adam 1 Wayman. Let's see. Is that call 40? I don't know if I called you yet. But hello, all. You have a beard. Oh, good thing, Jason Starr. You can be an elder now.
Yeah. I see. Hi, hey, Daryl Davis.
Hey, Daryl Davis. Yep, I missed that one. Yeah, basket. It was an ark. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you got me. That there container. Yeah, it definitely wasn't a French kiss.
All right.
All right. So 1 or 0, okay? Yes is 1, 0 is no. Would you buy a tacky, thin hat that says flat earth or not necessarily this font? but would you buy this for $10? 1 for yes, 0 for no. I want to see. Hey, Doc Michael. And I know it's going to take a minute for us. It's going to be like 2 minutes down the road before we start seeing numbers. Ones and zeros, folks. Ones and zeros. Functional and dysfunctional.
Let me check my other chats.
Yay! Brian would buy one. Okay.
Hello to everybody at Rockfin, all 9 of you.
Okay, Joshua Benjamin, you said there's 613 commandments of Judaism. Actually, that's a misunderstanding. There's actually thousands of commandments for Judaism. They just describe there's 613 in the Torah, and when you look them up, they actually don't line up with the verses. They just create their own. And it's all about, algorithms and numbers and stuff like that. And as far as like, quote unquote, one Jesus, his name wasn't even Jesus. It was Yeshua, translated as Joshua. And he was not the only one who taught resurrection. You definitely need to read the Old Testament and see. But yeah, I see a lot of ones there. And yeah. Ones and zeros, Frank, for one, you would buy a hat like this for $10.
See it? Well, you're kind of tiny on my screen. Maybe you can hold it up to the...
Oh, all right.
Up to the camera so they could... There you go.
It's just cheap swag. There you go.
Call for Zero says, how about a FE circle with earther under it without flat?
I mean, we're thinking of a lot of different things. FE circle with earther under it.
You mean like a flat earth map, or where it says FE with a circle around it?
Yeah, I didn't catch that either. And if you're talking about putting a map on it, that's way too difficult for what we're doing for this printing thing. We want to try to keep it as simple as possible. It's just going to be cheap, simple, fast swag. Because we have to make each one of these individually, because Karen's printing them out, and then I have to iron them on.
Frank Logic says plain earther. He says the map. I don't know. We could try it. I'll have to experiment.
Joshua Benjamin, if Jesus had remained in Egypt, he could have ruled as the reincarnated Horus. Yeah, probably. And again, okay, let me just whip out the explanation of the Jesus thing. Jesus is a translation of Jesus, which is a translation of Jesus. Jesus is they added an us on the end to make it masculine for Greek names like Copernicus, Perseus. It's always an us on the end. So it's actually from Yesu. Yesu is an anagram of Jews that says, may his name and memory be blotted out. So every time you say Jesus, you're saying, may his name and memory be blotted out. His name is actually Yeshua, which means he will save, or which is the short form of his name, Yehoshua, which means Yehovah is our salvation, or Yehushai, or, whatever the dialect, it doesn't matter. It's saying that the creator is our salvation. Yeah. Yesu acronym. Yeah, I said anagram. Whatever. I don't know which one it is. Yeah, Jupiter was a hijacking of sun god belief system, also called Mithra, Tammuz, Ra, of course. There's a lot of them.
Yep.
Alrighty.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, this is something I have a lot of different videos on Just Jack Flat Earth. If you want to look into some of the stuff I've already talked about Christmas, Easter, all this stuff, where it's just a cultural appropriation, I guess you could say, because it's all based on child sacrifice, orgies, sun god worship that they sprinkled in a little bit of Bible, and they created this new religion called Catholicism, and then by extension Christianity. So, yep, grabbled history. Alrighty.
Yeah, I think the link to Jack's channel is in the description. Did I put your channel and link in there?
I don't know. I popped out the chat, so I'm not at the website.
Maybe your channel is not there.
I think you gave links to like the.
I think there's like
stuff.
everything but your channel in there. I have to add your channel to the description. Now that I'm looking at it, because there was like your PayPal and stuff and Patreon, but I don't think I put your channel. Yeah. But yeah, just search Just Jack Flat Earth on YouTube. You should find it.
Yeah, and the Patreon thing, like, unfortunately, there hasn't been a good turnout for it, so I haven't been keeping up with it. But if you are, if you do become a patron of mine, and you do want to have that one-on-one, just email me and I'll do it. No problem.
Yeah, Jack's email's in the description, justjackflatearth@gmail.com.
Yep. And I've done it many times where people, you know, they weren't even my Patreon, but they called me up and they're like, hey, can I ask you a question? And I already know ahead of time that means I'm going to be on the phone for at least an hour for any question. So, because any question turns into another question and so on and so forth. Thank you for linking it in the chat, Doc Michael.
Yeah, thank you, Doc. All right.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Source is a hijack of New Age because they don't understand what the deity is. They just believe in this ever-expanding nothingness called universe, which in reality, universe is very close and very personal. Mm-hmm. And the name Yehovah or Yahuwah, depending on your dialect, means the existence. So all that did exist, does exist, will exist in eternity, that is the creator. So source is close, but it's not quite there. It's existence.
All right. There you go.
All right.
All right, cool. Thank you, everybody, for being here with us once again on this fine Saturday. Shabbat
Yom.
Shabbat Yom, yes. Shabbat Shalom. Have a restful day. And we'll see you all next week.
Earth is still flat.
Earth is still flat. Keep it flat. All right, y'all. Later.
Shalom.